Right, it's episode 54 of the Rated RR podcast. Rish Roshan right here, along with my usual co-host, Ziaul Raushan. Raushan, very quickly say hi because we have an interesting guest with us on this week's episode.
Hi Roshan, great to be here. Let's get stuck into the guest straight away because the pre-banter has already got me very excited for this one.
Brilliant. I mean, there's going to be a bit of controversy right from the get-go here. And, we have a superstar young striker, and be aware of this name, right? Because there's a story behind this as well. I'm introducing him as Vasileios Chua, or Vasileios Zikos Chua, right?
Yeah,
Vasileios, why don't you tell us what that story is?
Yeah, so I think, first of all, it's an absolute pleasure to be invited here. Thank you guys for having me so much. I'm Vasileios Chua, and I think most people know me as Zikos Chua, right? Yeah.
Give us a story about that, man. What is that heritage, and why have people been calling you Zikos for the last 4 years or so?
Yeah, I mean, obviously my name is Vasileios. That's my birth name and it's my first name. It's Greek, and yeah, honestly, I think there wasn't any problem until when I started playing, but. Yeah, when I first came to Singapore, though, I asked everyone to call me Bill.
Okay.
And everyone who knows me close to they just call me Bill. And then when people hear about it and they say, "No, my name is Vasileios," they're like, "Where does this come from, right?" And how does Vasileios become Bill? But it's really you have to trust me. It's the translation from Vasileios to Bill. Because in Greece we get our names from saints.
Okay.
So mine is from Saint Basil. So I think Vasileios and Basil, you can see the similarity.
Okay.
Yeah.
And different nicknames for that is Bill, Billy, or So in Greece, sometimes people will call me Bill or Billy. So when I first came here when I was younger, I thought it'd be a lot easier for people to call me and a lot faster for people to call me Bill instead. And it wasn't too weird for me. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what the problem is? I blame the commentators and pundits and all that. I blame them. It's their fault. I'm one of them. And we didn't know how to.
Maybe it's the arrangement of the name when you see it on the sheet.
A team sheet,
and everything as well.
Yeah. So are you used to it now? Are you used to people calling you Zikos already now?
Used to it everywhere, I think I should change my Instagram handle to Zikos Chua, and perhaps I'll get more followers there.
Quite honestly, yesterday I tried looking for you on Instagram. I searched Zikos Chua, I couldn't find you, and then I thought, maybe it's onto something with Vasileios. And true enough, just one thing to clarify though, you are in national service now?
Yeah, that's right.
What does your uniform say? That's the confirmation of what your name should be.
It says MX Chua.
Why is there X?
Because
that's your Chinese name.
Chinese name, yeah.
Okay. For which stands for Mingxin.
Okay. That's been fabulous. Thank you for clarifying the name.
Hey, brilliant. I'm going to be calling him Vasileios from now on. I'm going to try and make a point of remembering that on commentary. Great to speak to players, and then we get this inside story, right, Roshan?
Yeah, I think the Zikos came in though because, if I'm not wrong, in 2018, my first jersey for Geylang, the back said Zikos Chua. So that's where everyone was like, okay, just Zikos Chua, Or maybe it's the easier name to pronounce. So I guess they said that.
I think for the sake of familiarity, I will call you Zikos throughout the entire pod and leave Vasileios to Roshan. That's cool?
Fine,
All right. Let's get stuck into the football now. And you, Zikos, have had a stellar start to the year. You must be enjoying your football very much at the moment.
Oh yeah, it's been a good start. I think personally, probably my best statistical start to a season so far. And after having a long layoff last year due to NS, and finally getting back to games and getting some minutes under my belt, it's been a good start. I think I couldn't have asked for more. Of course, the results haven't been ideal, but I think our performances have been good. And personally, of course, there's many things I can take from here and improve over the next few rounds of games, carry on into SEA Games. But I think it's been a decent start for me. Yeah.
I think one of the interesting things about the young Lions, even from last season, but it seems to have carried on this season as well, is that this style of play. It can be really entertaining. What have you sort of noticed about that, or what do you like about it? How hard do you have to work in training to sort of achieve this style of play that people are talking about, that the young Lions are going with at the moment?
Yeah, I think it's always nice to hear like that. Like, our style of play is good, and it's good to hear that. But it's definitely hard work, especially in the off season, because we do like to high press a lot. There's like a lot of running, a lot of distance that we cover in the game. So like in the preseason, obviously we were working very hard, lots of runs, lots of fitness, and I think it's constant reminders from coach as well, Coach Nazri, like drilling like the ideas into us, like that. Okay, the certain style rules that we have to follow, whether it's defending or attacking. Like getting the first ball out into space, into the open man when we do win the ball back, or like when we lose it straight away, counter press and try and win it back within a quick time, or like starting up in a high block. All this kind of stuff is being reminded to us since like day one, and I think from the boys as well from last year. Those who remain from last year, they've made it like a point to carry on these like style rules and all these principles forward into our games this year. And it's been good, I think.
Yeah, I just wanted to jump in there before I let Roshan carry on, because you mentioned the word style rules, and I think this is something that maybe casual observers of Singapore football are not quite aware of. But this is something that's deliberately set down in terms of technical direction, in terms of how we want our young Singaporean players to play going forward as well. So what Vasileios is talking about is we have this sort of set way of wanting to do certain things, and I think you have to sort of maintain that within your playing structure. So I just wanted to give a bit more background as to what they're kind of doing there, and I'm really glad that Vasileios has spoken about it as well.
Yeah, so I think it's always made a point to always, like, no matter what in the game, that we have to keep these tables, and like I think it's obviously a good guide to like managing games and breaking down opponents in the end as well. Yeah.
Because you touched on it there, the work that goes on to this style of play that coach wants to implement, as well as the FA, they want the younger boys to play that way. But results, as you touched on earlier, have sometimes been a bit hard to come by. I mean, there's a lot of praise on social media, for example, about the Young Lions play, but it's results-oriented business, right? So how satisfying is it when something like that comes off? And is it then a tangible marker to show you that you're going in the right way?
I think all of us, I think I can speak for the whole team, all of us want to play a positive style of football. Like, a good counter pressing, keeping the ball around, like taking our time to break down opponents, finding gaps. And given the personnel that we have in our team as well, I think we owe it to ourselves to perhaps play in that way, And I think as well, it's I think we maximize our abilities when we do play.
Potential,
yeah, exactly. And it's definitely very satisfying when it comes off, when we get wins. Of course, we've only had the one win this year, but if you look at all the games, like we've had a lot of close losses, and like when it comes to results, definitely they're a tangible mark. Like you don't play to like lose. None of us like losing, right? We want to win games, and of course it's very tough on us when we lose, like say to two small mistakes that we make throughout the game, even if we had a very good game. But when it comes to the play that when it comes to the type of game that we've tried to play, I think for the most part we've maintained that, and we can see, like, having been very close to winning so many games, it's something that we can look forward to and work towards, and try and better on in the next few rounds.
But Vasileios, you bring up a term that I use sometimes in my commentary, in my work on television, looking at games, counter-pressing, right? And for some people, this might be an unfamiliar concept, but if you really sort of just break it down into a very simple, basic thing, it's kind of just making sure you try and win the ball back as quickly as you possibly can upon losing it, and try and stop the opposition from transitioning, right? But what are the other elements that come into it? When Nazri coaches this with the Young Lions, what is important in that counter-pressing aspect?
I think, like, just everyone being switched on, like once we lose it, all of us have to have the same mindset of just like chasing our man, or like covering the spaces to win it right back. Because all it takes is one person to be out of position and the other team is out of that like tight space that we perhaps have put them in, and then the counter pressing is over. You can't counter press already once you've like completely lost the ball anyway. So I think a lot of the elements is just everyone being switched on, like holding each other accountable to making sure we press straight away and at a high intensity as well. So the coaches in YL always like emphasize that as well, to be quick when losing the ball and switching on.
And having the Young Lions having completed one round of fixtures, just out of curiosity, who has been the toughest opponent in the SPL thus far for the Young Lions, you think?
I think you can see it from the scoreline. Probably is our first game this season against Albrechts. That was a very tough one. I don't know whether it was because we had a lot of in between we had a lot of disruptions. Like a lot of players had COVID after we came back from the AFF. That being our first game, and like they already had 3 games under their belt, or you can make all these excuses, but I think they too play a very similar game to us. So that was very tough.
Yeah, I think Vasileios is interesting as well with what's happened with the Young Lions. They're a side who are constantly in an evolutionary state, in the sense that players come and players go. And the recent player who left was obviously Ilhan, who was a good focal point for them. But now it's an opportunity for someone like you to sort of step in. You must be relishing that chance, right?
Yeah, of course. It's it's always tough when you have like another great player playing the same position as you in the same team.
Yeah.
Like you guys have to fight for the minutes, but of course I'm relishing it now. Like who knows? Maybe I get more minutes or more opportunities, but in the end I still have to do my job, and like the past few games, keep scoring goals, keep doing my best, and working hard. And from there, I think just trying to keep up a high standard of performance. From there, then the minutes will come and everything. But at the same time, it's a big loss because sometimes you do want, obviously, such a great player to be in the same team as you, because it pushes you as well to keep as well pushing yourself, motivating yourself, and keep getting better and better together. And I think it lifts up the team in the end to have good competition all around. And apart from that, I think we'll miss a lot of his obviously his footballing abilities. They're there for all to see, like his aerial ability, his finishing, his touches, and everything. But I think a lot of what we'll miss from him is his his energy, his his positivity, his the changing room is always loud when he's around.
Yeah, those are his strengths. What are yours? Those are his strengths, right? What are yours? What are yours? Tell us about yours.
Just I said my finishing, obviously around the box, getting into areas, into positions, to just be there to finish. My anticipation in the box, I think, has been good. Like any loose balls, I'll always try and be there. I think no matter like the game, I always give 100%, and I think that's all you can ask from yourself, right?
Yeah. I just wanted to jump in very quickly. Sorry, Raushan. I know you've got a few questions on your mind here, but I just want to, because Vasileios, you're a tall guy, right?
Yeah.
You sometimes tall players get typecast, especially if you play as a striker. Oh, must be good in the air, play as a target man. Do you see yourself in that role? How do you see yourself as a forward?
I think to a certain extent I do see myself as that, because I think there's not many tall strikers in tall Singaporean strikers, right?
Yeah.
So definitely I try to make myself a presence in the air, like in games, and sometimes, not always, our passing game is gonna work. So sometimes you do have to go route one, not always, but
it's good to have the option.
Yeah, good to have the option, and then try and knock it down. I think my hold-up play is good, and trying to bring our more creative players in the game, like Joel and Kyrin, trying to link up with them and get chances as well. So,
because are there any players you model your game on, like in terms of the global game, or anybody you've watched growing up that you think that's a good way to go?
Growing up, my footballing idol was always Ronaldo. Obviously I'm not an extremely similar player to him now. So as I've grown up more, I've like try to model my game more around like players like Harry Kane, Lewandowski now. Like they are all-round strikers, both of them, and they do everything well. Their passing is good. They can hold up the ball well. They can move the ball forward, dribble, like make chances for themselves out of nothing, and and like even for Kane, like I think I'd say I compare myself more to him because he's a bit slower. Like and I'm not the fastest as well, so yeah, I'd say like his passing ability, his finishing, everything is something I aspire to like work towards too. Yeah.
Are those then things that you're looking to try and add to your game? Like what aspects of your game do you think that you can sort
I
of
think definitely
improve on?
like maybe my passing range, things like that. My speed and acceleration, I think, can definitely improve a lot. And like I think if those come into play, then yeah, I think I'll be closer to that like Harry Kane, like Lewandowski, like build, right?
Yeah.
And I think it would definitely improve my game. Yeah.
To clarify, when you said Ronaldo, you mean Cristiano Ronaldo, right? Because sorry,
yeah.
Ronaldo means someone different to me from my generation.
Yeah, it's a bit of
Cristiano.
No, but I suspect that he meant Cristiano as well.
Okay.
But even like you watch Ronaldo, like I've watched so many highlights of his, like the Brazilian one.
The Brazilian,
Back in the day, and it's insane how like what he could do with the ball.
Yeah. Okay, no, I just wanted to clarify. Just wanted to make sure that we're on the same page.
Because we touched on.
Let's put both. Yeah, why not? Yeah.
I mean, worst people to follow, right? 2 stars of the game, really. Because you touched on it, they're having a good start to the year, statistically doing well, and then you got various different competitions you're looking forward to. But on that note, do you have any specific targets in terms of numbers for the year?
I think Joel is here. Me and Joel have like a little agreement, like a little bet, and I think there's definitely a target. I think. Should I say it out loud? Yeah. Why not? Like I think for me this year was like 7 goals to reach.
Okay.
At the start of the year.
Yeah.
We'll see if we hit it. Obviously, like adjust from there, go even higher. But I think for now, I think trying to reach that 7-goal mark to me is, I'll definitely. That's something I'm working towards. Yeah.
Well done, and very brave of you to publicly state your target. Brilliant.
If I don't really, I'll be held to it.
No. There will not be any hell to pay, or nobody will give you any like crap for it, man. Really, really good. Love your ambition, and you're almost there as well. I mean, a few more to go.
Almost halfway.
Yeah.
And if I do hit it, obviously adjust from there. But I think most importantly is doing the small things in the games, all the small details first, and I think having a good performance, like just working hard for the team, and then from there, I think the goals will come. Yeah.
Fantastic to hear. Zikos, when you spent your formative years making the step up into the Singapore Premier League, you spent some time with Geylang International, and quite honestly, you had a outstanding 2019 where you scored 5 goals in that year as well, and that really, I think, shot you to prominence almost. What did your stint with the Eagles then teach you or help you acclimatize to the game? Yeah,
I think it was obviously my first taste of professional football anyway, and it gave me a good idea of what the SPL is all about, what professional football is all about, like training in a professional setting, with multiple coaches, physios and sports trainers, like having all that to your capacity. So I think it gave me a good, not a wake up call, but like something to work towards to, like if, because I was a student back then, and like obviously I was doing this more part time. And like even now I'm doing like football part time in a sense, right?
Yeah.
But it gives you a nice look as to what professional life is like, and I think it's something that I definitely hope to have in the future.
All right, very nice. Let's move it on to the national front now, the international front, and we're looking ahead to the SEA Games, which is coming up very soon. I think lots of expectation around how Team Singapore will do at the SEA Games. First of all, must be really proud for you to pull on that jersey.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's anytime you see yourself in those like in the name lists when they post on like Facebook and everything, it's it's an extremely proud moment to be called up and like have the opportunity to represent Singapore. Because so many would do so much to
Of course.
to be in the shoes that we are in, and it's definitely a very proud moment, and especially to be selected in such a big event like the SEA Games. It's a huge honor, and like I remember when I was younger, I think 2017, like I was training with NFA and I was at sports school, and I think we just finished training, but for some reason we made our way to the canteen, and like the Singapore against Malaysia match was on. I think the one Amiruddin scored that, like the left leg curler.
Yeah.
And, like there was like just a bunch of like sports school kids there, watching the game, and like I don't know whether I would have envisioned myself like 5 years later, being in that position, and I think it's a very crazy moment. Yeah.
Somebody might be watching you from the canteen this time around, so make sure you lace up those boots and get ready. Speaking of the pride that comes with it, I'm sure you've received plenty of words of encouragement and praise from family, friends, even fans even.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like family, friends, like my dad was just telling me like he always used to see the people, like, because yesterday we just went to pick up our red suits. Yeah, like he said, he always saw like athletes in those in those suits, like in the airport or coming back, and like I think he never thought that he would see like one up close, and it's very surreal. And like all my friends have been very supportive. Obviously, fans have been sending a lot of messages, and it's amazing. Yeah.
Has he taken the opportunity to put the jacket on and take a few photos?
I don't know. I don't think I'll let him near it. I have to keep it in pristine condition.
Because we talk about the excitement building up to the competition. How excited are you for the competition itself, for it to get started proper in terms of the football?
I think it's extremely excited, very psyched up, and it's been a while since I played like in the AFF or SEA Games setting with the Southeast Asian teams. I think obviously I was part of the Asian Cup qualification last year, but I don't know. I don't think I had time to internalize it so much. But now, like obviously getting the opportunity to travel after so long, since like before COVID, I haven't traveled, and getting to obviously play against such high level oppositions. I think it's definitely a good chance to test myself out, and once again being part of such a big event, like hopefully getting to interact with other athletes as well. I think that's a very nice dimension that I'm definitely going to explore. But very, very excited.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just the football, right? You're
Exactly,
going over there
football,
yeah, exactly. Different athletes from different sports and different athletes from various countries around the region as well. So what a wonderful experience it's going to be for you. Can we bring the focus back to Coach Nazri Nasser? What has been the sort of the messaging from him ahead of the tournament? What has that focus been like going into this SEA Games?
Like, I think obviously tactically wise, it's just adhering to those style rules, like drilling it into us, like no matter what, we have to follow these. Being very solid as a unit, building up properly, or defensively trying to press high and being solid at the back. And obviously he himself has experienced what it's like to be in the SEA Games, like so many times, and he's been like so many big moments himself with the national team. So I think he knows what it's like for us, and he's trying obviously to rile us up, get us excited, and do our best for the country. Yeah.
Sorry, Zikos, amidst all the excitement about this, I skipped the question, which I'm going to come back to now. I'm not sure fans exactly realize how much sacrifice, how much juggling the squad is doing in terms of playing for the Young Lions, doing national service, and preparing for the SEA Games, right? So you talk about the pride, you talk about the excitement, but how much sacrifice has gone into getting you into this position?
Oh yeah, a lot. Not just for myself, but like all the other parties involved, like even from the national service side, they've had to sacrifice us. Let us go for training and everything. Yeah, it's definitely tough. I think for a lot of the boys, many of us are involved in national service. So, traveling back and forth from camp, every day, tirelessly training. Yeah, it's been a lot of like blood, sweat, and tears, but I think it's definitely worth it in the end when you get the chance to represent the nation. And despite all that, I think we hope to put on a good show. Yeah.
Fantastic, and we hope to see you score some goals for us, especially those kids in the sports school canteen will be looking out for it, man. Speaking of the build-up to the tournament, there was unfortunate injury to Captain Jacob Mahler in recent weeks. I saw a recent picture that he just underwent surgery. How do you think the team is going to cope in the absence, which would be a significant absence, right? The captain missing.
Yeah, of course. Like our captain, our skipper. He, he's been like a rock at the back. Like he brings so much to the table. Like in terms of leadership, like being a calm presence at the back. Like you can see how he's handled all the like top strikers in the SPL we have, and we'll definitely miss him. But I'm sure, like, despite him not being able to go on the flight or like even young lions being involved for the rest of the season, I'm sure he'll do his best to make his presence felt, and like through his voice, through his like motivating us and everything. But I think more so from our part, it's a chance for us to step up and like a lot of the players go into more of a leadership position that perhaps they wouldn't have been thrown into it if Jacob was here. And just do this for him. I think he would have given everything to be here for like with us and had this chance to go to SEA Games. So I think like keeping him in mind, giving our best, and giving our best for him as well. It'll be big for us, and I think like for whoever in his position that's gonna come in, like just do as good a job as he would have.
Yeah, Jacob, we will be back. We're pretty sure of that. We're looking forward to it.
Back stronger for sure.
Back stronger for sure. Absolutely. I mean, you bring up a really good point about other players stepping up in terms of that leadership position with Jacob out as well, right? And also earlier you mentioned Ilhan and his being vocal and fun in the dressing room. It kind of leads me to this next question about who the key players are going to be for Team Singapore. Yourself, aside from yourself, we know you're going to be key for them. But aside from yourself, who are the key characters, important players on the pitch and in terms of that dressing room environment as well?
I'd say, like, I know it's going to be a very cliche answer, but I'd say everyone. Like, there's 20 players going on board. I think everyone has to play a role. Everyone has to like be held accountable to their position and their job. And I think it's everyone's responsibility to like lift each other up. Make sure we're motivated, play well together, work as a team. And we've got the senior players coming in as well. I'm sure they'll use all the experience they have and give us a lift as well. But obviously we can't just rely on them. And yeah, we too have to do our part, the staff, and all of us have to work together as a team to be the key, right, for the team.
Very good, very good. Already, I talk about leadership role. That's a very captain-like answer.
Yeah,
we have to work as a team. Everyone's important. We'll take it game by game.
There's a checklist of certain pointers, right?
Is it too safe of an answer? I'm kidding. I think, genuinely, it's really.
Yeah.
I think every team, those are the intangibles, right? You have to have that, and yeah.
It's fabulous to hear, and like Roshan said, I know we joke about it, but that mindset seems to be there to want to lead, to want to achieve, and I think that will set us in good stead going into the SEA Games. Zikos, at the top of the show, we got to know you a bit personally. We found out a bit about your name and stuff like that. We want to delve a bit deeper into it now. And I managed to dig up that you were an alumni of Tanjong Katong Secondary School, a school renowned for good footballers in the East at least, and my generation at least. Is this where you developed your desire to become a footballer, or were you always football crazy growing up?
Like probably the best school in the East, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm kidding.
I'll take it from you. I saw pictures of you with trophies and all.
Yeah, that 1 year, I think we won the nationals at City.
Because they take all the best players, right? No, is it? No, I don't know.
They tried. We tried. But, no, I think their love for football was in me a long time ago. Like when I can't recall when, but as soon as I can, as early as I can remember, like when I was maybe P1 or like kindergarten. Remember watching football United. It's I think that's where my love grew, and ever since I started playing football, I think that's all I wanted to do really. And perhaps in Tanjung Katong, I think that's where I was given a platform to obviously showcase my skills. Then Coach Noah came in as well when I was late Sec 1, and made that connection, and he obviously gave me a huge hand to make my way up and eventually make my debut in the league and get all these opportunities that I've had so far.
Did you always want to be a professional footballer? That's the first question. Secondly, there's the difference between wanting to be a player and at one point sort of realizing, hey, I can be a professional footballer. So can you answer those two for me? So the first one, did you always want to be a pro? Secondly, when did you sort of realize that, hey, this is actually a viable thing?
I think as a kid, you have all these you see something different each day, and then you're like, oh, I want to be this, I want to be that. I think at one point, I've always I think I wanted to be an architect or something like that. Maybe the creative mind in me had woken up at the time, but I think but the football player part has has been in me the whole time. Everything else I guess has been a side to it, an extra. But that football part, I've been in love with football for so long, and growing up, you see all those insights into how professional players live and all that. I think it's something I've always wanted to become and have the experience to enjoy. And when I realized that I can become one, I think once I started scoring a few goals, perhaps in the SPL, realizing that maybe, I can do something in this league. And obviously, if I do go on to have this full time, I think the goal would be to try and go overseas and improve and try and reach the highest level of football I can possibly reach.
Ziko, sorry, I just have a question going back to that secondary school experience, right? I hear various different players who are professional now. They scored 14 goals in one game. They scored 6 goals in one game. Some crazy numbers. Has there been an instance or a game during your younger career where you really caught the eye almost?
Caught the eye? I don't know. Not that I can recall. I mean, I think I've, from the top of my head, I've definitely had multiple games that I've scored maybe 5+ goals or something like that. But I guess in secondary school or when I was young, a lot of my job was to score. So I guess having scored a lot of goals, I don't think anything was too out of the
Yeah,
I would say ordinary, because that sounds very
so that ties into my next question. Then you've always been a striker, out and out. You because when we spoke to I think Nicky previously, he mentioned starting at the back and then moving his way up or something like that. For you,
everywhere, I remember him. He was when we were 15 or something. He was playing right back. Now he's a totally different player. But when I was younger, primary school all the way to maybe Sec 1, I was more of a centre mid.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, or attacking midfielder, that kind of thing. And then when Coach Noah came in, I think he just decided to utilize me as a striker, and perhaps because I had the size advantage over the rest. In secondary school, I was I think considerably taller than many players. So he was okay, let's stick him up front.
Yeah, I get that as well. I was pretty tall in secondary school, and the coach used to experiment with playing me as a striker. I didn't like it. I wasn't a very good finisher. I prefer playing in midfield and setting up chances and being more involved in the game, I guess. But you are enjoying this striker role? I think obviously this is something you're suited to, right? You see yourself in this position for the longer term, right?
Obviously, yeah. I don't know. I've been playing it since 13, 14. And I don't think I can see myself in any other position. And
yeah,
I'd say there's no there's no feeling that quite compares to scoring goals, especially in matches.
We're not going to have a situation like Irfan, for example, where he went from a striker and then he became an absolute monster of a central defender, right?
He is, yeah. Credit to him, he's adapted so well, right? But if coach one day decides, maybe you're better off at the back, then I'd be open to anything to help the team, right? But like I said, there's no feeling quite like scoring. Yeah.
Fair enough. And I think you are made to be a striker because like mentioning the goals and all that just comes naturally to you, right? We'll talk about role models now, and you touched on it earlier, global role models, Harry Kane, Lewandowski, the likes. Locally, have there been any footballers you've watched grow up? Doesn't necessarily have to be a striker, I guess, but it could be.
Not necessarily a striker, but I think probably Iksan. Oh. I know he's not that much older than me, but I do remember watching him when I was like Sec 1. I watched what is it called? Like, last time when the Singapore, like the U15s, U16s,
Lion City Cup?
Lion City?
Oh, yeah. Lion City Cup, Juventus over. I think the one they had like Tottenham or Liverpool over.
Uh-huh.
And I remember watching that. I think he scored a hat-trick or something. And I was like, wow. I don't think I transitioned into a striker then. But, ever since getting to have the chance to play in the same team as him, and like you obviously see what he has done in the national team, right? I think definitely he's definitely a good role model to everyone. Like playing in Singapore, like experimenting overseas when he went to Norway.
Yeah, now he's doing really well in Thailand along with his brother. A bit of a shame that the two of them are not going to be allowed to sort of join the squad. Would have been nice for you, I think, to play with one of your role models in Iksan in those strikers' positions.
I think they both Irfan and Iksan could have obviously added a lot to the team. But it is what it is, right? And we have to just work with what we have and definitely still give our best. And I still think we have a good shot.
And you touched on it earlier, speaking about careers and all that, and Iksan being a role model, playing overseas. You touched on maybe having ambition to play abroad. What are some career goals that you have in terms of the next 5 years, maybe, where you want to see yourself after national service and stuff like that?
I think like short to long term, probably just definitely make a push to try and make it to the national team, get selected there. Just for now, have a good season, a good rest of the season until I'm out of national service, and perhaps in the next 5 years, hopefully catch the eye of overseas clubs and hopefully get a chance to play abroad. Because I think for any like aspiring footballer, I think that's definitely the main aim, to try and get to like those high levels. Like I'm not speaking obviously now like Japan, Korea. If I have the quality and like capacity to play there, then sure. But even like Thailand and all that, I think it's a really good level to aspire to reach to.
Yeah. Excellent. It's great to hear that you've got these goals in mind and you're looking ahead and looking forward and looking to try and develop yourself as a player and a person. I want to give you one final question before we go. Who is your best friend in football, or do you have a close group of friends? Yeah. Or give us like a group. If you don't have one in particular, maybe give us like a group of people that you're close to in the game.
I think probably like you just came on the podcast, Nikki.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like Danish Kayum. Like all both of us, like we were very close, like back because we came up together in the same band.
Okay.
We played so many things together, so many trips. Maybe Ryan Sanizal as well. Like I remember us doing ACL rehab together. And like
what a place to connect.
I know, yeah, we were together in many teams, but I think the ACL rehab brought us a lot closer together, working together to like try and rehab, and more so now like Glenn Quay and Jerry Gallagher, because like with him had so many like he had a lot of the similar experiences to me, like traveling back and forth from camp, from the west to the east. Like definitely a lot of friendships, and I wouldn't say there's one best friend, but definitely a lot of good friends.
Do you know who's going to be your roommate in Hanoi?
No idea.
Who are you hoping it'll be?
We just
I'd be okay with anyone.
there we go. There's the captain's response.
There we go. Hey, Raushan, wait. I have a question for you, actually, Raushan.
Oh wow.
You know, Vasileios spoke about getting to know Ryan during the ACL rehab, and then on the pod that we spoke to Nicky Melvin Singh, he said he got to know his teammates when he was in COVID isolation.
Oh, yes. So truly, misery loves company, is it?
It does. Just like every day for like how many months, just seeing the same face.
No, but jokes aside, that's the silver lining, right? Through adversity, almost, sure. Then you find yourself like
you carry each other up. Yeah, you
exactly.
help each other, and like you go. You know what both of you are feeling and going through, especially with an injury like the ACL. I think it's definitely good to have someone like we were same age, so many teams we were in together, and like it definitely helped a lot.
Yeah. And for those listeners, Roshan has tried to rupture my ACL more than once while we play futsal or something like that. And yes, that has brought us closer, and here we are having a podcast together. Was that the question you were bringing up to?
No, it wasn't even from a tackle. To clarify, it was my shot was so hard. It was a shot. It was a shot that I took. He had a dodgy knee anyway. It was a shot that I took, and it sort of came off his leg and twisted a certain way. But I managed to get him downgraded from reservist or something, right? So you owe me actually.
So I do owe you, Roshan. Silver linings again. Once again, Vasileios Zikos Chua, it's been fabulous having you on the show to talk us through your career, your early career, the SEA Games especially, and everything else surrounding your hopes and ambitions. We've had a lot of fun talking to you. The whole idea of this show is to get you closer to the fans. So I just want to give you one final opportunity to say anything to the Singapore fans, especially ahead of the SEA Games.
And obviously, thank you for the undying support so far in the season, and do continue to support us in the SEA Games. I think we need each and every Singaporean to, give us a hand. We need the 12th men behind us, and yeah, we'll do our best for you. Yeah.
Perfect way to end things off. Vasileios, very talented, very exciting young talent, and we're looking forward to seeing how you do in the SEA Games. Thank you very much for joining us, and for the rest of you out there tuning in, leave your comments below, get involved, like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed this episode. It's goodbye for now. We'll see you next time.